Okay, so CAGED is a simple way to figure out how to play the guitar. Now, there's really only 5 chords, right? It's just C, this ugly thing, then there's an A, and there's a fucking G, right? And you play these different. If you've got fat fingers, you do this with an A. If you've got skinny fingers, you do that. Or you do this, which I think is cheating. Then you do an E, right? And then a D. Now I just played all the fucking chords there are for a guitar, right? It's just C, A, G, E, and D. Now if you can't see me fat fingers while I've been playing, well look them up, because it's not hard to find those 5 chords. Now here's the thing, you don't need fat fucking books like this to learn your chords. It's not a good idea, and I'll tell you why. Because what you've got to do is the same thing you do with a piano or anything else. You've got to know your tonics. So in the C's, this is a C chord, you've got to know which one's a tonic, right? And that one's a tonic, and that one's a tonic. So this one is a third, right? So if that's a third, then what's a fourth, right? So then there's a fourth, which means that if you want to do, let's say, a 11th, then you'd have to do something to get that note on there, right? So if you want to figure out ways to get a C11 or a C minor, then you've got to get your fingers over there to do a C minor type thing, right? Figure those things out yourself. Don't use a book to do it. So, and let's take the A, because it's a little bit simpler to see and a more common chord form, because these are all chord forms that you use. So here's A, right? And then you might want to do an A9. Well, that would be the tonic going up. So you might do that right there, right? Your big fucking guitar is hard to do this with. But that would be an A9, right? Or an A minor, there's a tonic, so then the third is there. So you're going to take the third down, and that's an A minor, right? So you figure it out using your theory, and you figure out your own fingers for all these chords. Now I'm not going to go into dominant and augmented and things like that, but your sevenths, those you'll all figure out from the 5 chords. You've got to know where your tonics are, where your 3s are, where your 5s are from the basic chords, right? And that's C, A, G, E, D. C, A, G, E, D. Now that's most of what you need to know. You can figure out the sort of 25 original chords, right? Minor, major, the 2 7ths and so forth. And then if you want to get fancy, you can go to the 9s and 11ths and so forth. But there's not very many for each one. There's only about 25 chords to learn or something like that, and it all starts with these 5, C, A, G, E, D. Now, here's the other thing about CAGED. When you learn this, you go C, and the C chord is just the same thing, but you move it down and use an A form. Right? There it is. Sorry about that last note. There we go. And then you move it up again. That's the C and the A form. And then here's the G form of that chord. Moving up again. And here's the E form. And here's the D form. So there's 5 different ways to play each chord. Right, here's let's say an A minor. Then there would be 5 different ways going down to play that. And some of them are common and some of them aren't. Like you don't play a G minor typically using the G form, but you'll figure all that out while you sit there and work out where your fingers go, because you know where your tonics and where your 3s and where your 5s are, right? But here's the exercise now, and it helps you to get used to the whole notion of this caged idea up and down the fretboard. You start at, let's say it was C, again, A form, G form, E form, and D form. Then you start again with the A. And this is the exercise that I've done to learn my fingers, get my fingers moving quickly. There's the A form, then you bar it there, and you go for G form. It's all C-A-G-E-D, right? And you can stick the C on here at the end because it all rotates around that C-A-G-E-D stuff. Right, and then you go up to start with the G now, G form. The next one, since it's caged, would be E, then D, then C, then A. And start with an E, then you go to a D form chord, right? Then you go to a C, you go to an A, you go to a G. And finally start with a D form. The next one will be C, then A, then G, and then E form, right? And it all works around and around and around that way. So, first of all, C, A, G, E, D, only 5 chords, right? Now what if you wanted to do a B? Well, a B on the guitar is nothing more than an A that's been moved up 2 steps. They cheat because it's a primitive instrument, right? It's not the same as the rest of the instruments. This one only gets about 5/7 of the things right. So there's B. And what about F, right? F was also disappeared on us, wasn't it? Well, it's just an A moved up to get you an F. And that's it. It's not complicated. It's not fucking complicated.